Good evening, good morning, afternoon, wherever you are watching us from. I am Comfort Eyitayo, your regular host for Connect with Comfort show. On this program, as we always say, we aim to add value to people on business, enterprise, and personal growth. Each show is organized to feature guests who are subject matter experts that will throw more insight on the topic of the day. I'm glad you are able to join us today. You are very welcome. Today's show is on strategies for scaling a business. In today's dynamic and competitive business environment, the ability to scale up is crucial for any business success. It is often said that growth is the lifeblood of any company or business. However, scaling a business can be a challenging process, and many companies struggle to achieve sustainable growth over the long term. This session is designed to provide you with practical insights and actionable strategies to help you overcome the challenges associated with scaling your business. We have with us one of the brightest minds in the industry who have extensive experience in scaling up businesses. And he will be sharing his insight of the best practices with us. Our special guest today will cover areas including identifying growth opportunities, developing a growth mindset, building a scalable business model, and leveraging technology to support growth. I hope you will find this session both informative and inspiring. Please remain connected as we go on a short break.
It's a life of hustle and survival. I remember when my ninth grade teacher asked me, Lisa, what do you want to be when you grow up? And see, I have to fight the Harlem Crip 30s every day to get home from school, so I looked at her and said, alive. I took an English class, I got a fail in English. And my English teacher said in front of the entire class, Lisa, you have to be the weakest writer I've ever met in my entire life. Don't worry, my story ends good. Don't feel sorry for me. I got 7 under my belt. And then the same year, my speech teacher said, after giving me a D-, I knew I had an A in speech. Like, come on. He obviously didn't agree with me. He gave me a D- and said, quote unquote, Miss Nichols, I recommend you never speak in public, that you get a desk job. So here's the beauty of that story. Other people's perception of you ain't none of your business. Everything you've ever been through, sat through, rose through, cried through, prayed through, everything is a setup for your next best season. In the way you forgive the perceivingly unforgivable, the way you love the perceivingly unlovable, the way you accept what seems to be unacceptable, the way you embrace after you've been betrayed, the way you do that is the way you will lead us. Your light belongs to everyone who'll be illuminated because you were bold enough and obedient enough to let your light shine. Yes, 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 yes. And every time you cross someone's path and they can't handle your light, you know those people that they try to give you reasons why you should tone it down a bit. That they would tell Cheryl not to sing so loud. Hey. Right. They would tell me to shut up in class. They tell you kind of strange. You know those people. Dream snatchers, vision busters. Don't be mad at them. They can only love you to the capacity in which they're able to love themselves. Don't be mad at them. Don't be mad at them. Pray for them. Love them. Because they're dealing with themselves like we're dealing with us. But I want you to remember that your 70 watts, your 70 watts has to be turned way up, because you got way more to give us. It ain't over yet. Don't put a period where God put a comma. And when you turn it up to 159 watts, you know, you keep turning it up. You stop dimming your light. You say, today is the first day of the rest of my life. You turn it up. You're going to find people that can't handle your light. And before today, you might have dimmed your light. You might have shrunk a little bit. You might have tempered it down a little bit. But after today, I want you to see this. After today, turn the lights up. After today, you don't dare dim your light. As your light gets brighter, you're going to disrupt some people. And they're going to tell you your light's too bright, your light's too bright, your light's too bright, your light's too bright. Then you just look at them and say, well, I'm not dimming my light. I'm just going to hand you some shades. I'm just saying, why don't you start carrying around an extra pair of shades?
That's very, very insightful video. I hope it has an impact with you. It's time for me to welcome our guest today. The name of our guest today is Boluwatife David, also known as Mr. Focus. I like that. He is an author and has helped leading institutions within Nigeria to attain peak performance in alignment with their strategic objectives. He is an expert in insights and practical wisdom for easy application to solve problems. Once again today, our topic is for scaling a business. And I'm glad to have Boluwatife as our guest to throw more insight on this for us.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
Get started. Welcome once again, Mr. David, to join us, and we appreciate it. We do not take it for granted. We know you are very busy. For
Good
sharing
afternoon.
this time with us, we say a big thank you to you.
It's a pleasure, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's get started. Thank you. Let me start. The first question: when developing scaling strategy for a business?
Sorry, I lost you for a bit. Can you take that question again, ma'am?
Sure. What are the key factors when developing strategy? Key factors.
Okay. I think I got that now. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I dare say that we have a very beautiful topic in front of us today. Just before I start talking about the key factors that are required for building or a scalable or scaling up your business, I think it is important for us to underscore a number of things before we start talking about scaling, right? Because scaling in itself is premised on the fact that you have something existing. What is not existing cannot be scaled, right? So before we start talking about scaling anything, the first thing we need to begin to talk about is the development or the foundational element of the business in itself. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I don't want to work on the assumption that the people that are hearing us currently you know, I've already been able to standardize something, right? I want to work with the assumption that we are speaking to a multitude of people. Some may have been able to put the necessary foundations in place, whereas some people may not have been able to put the necessary foundation in place. And that is why I felt it's important for us to talk about that. Now, for me, I think it's important to underscore that a hustling, I don't like to call hustling business, but I'm going to use it that way. Hustling business is not scalable. Reason is because the person that started that business in the first place, right, does not even have an understanding of a business in the first place. So before we can begin to start talking about scaling the business itself must exist not as an hustle, but as a business. What that means, in effect, is that I am not just doing this thing because I want to make money necessarily. I started this thing because I have been able to identify a problem that I'm trying to build a business to solve. And then in the process, I get money as a reward for solving that problem. So somebody that is going into business or entrepreneurship because they are trying to make money will not be thinking about that thing from a point of scaling, because as they are thinking about it, all that they can see is a naira and kobo that they're going to make. So somebody that would begin to think about scaling a business has moved away from starting something just because they're trying to make ends meet. They have they have started something because they've been able to identify a problem in the society, and they are saying that, you know what, I want to build a solution around this problem. And then it is at that point that we can say that you are really in business and you are not an hustler. And then we can begin to talk about scaling that thing that you have been able to create. So having set the foundation of the fact that, you know what, um it's a business that you have, not an hustle, we then begin to ask ourselves a question: what are the fundamentals, or what are the factors that are critical for you to scale a business? And I am going to bring this concept into, you know, how do I put it now, into our everyday life. Now, scaling in itself is all about growing a business from one level to another. You know, you are increasing the reach of that business, you are increasing, you know, the number of people your business is serving per time, and as a result, you are able to get more in terms of revenue, you are able to get more in terms of income. Now, for you to be able to then scale, there are certain things that are very critical. The first thing that is critical for scaling any business is, you know, is being able to identify the foundation on top of which that business is being built in the first place, right? It's almost like you are trying to build a building that is going to be 13-story, 25-story, 36-story, and all of that. The extent to which you can go on a particular story building is a function of the sturdiness of the foundation that already exists. So if, for example, the business you have, the foundation is only designed to carry a 2-story building, right? If you scale to a particular point, you are going to come crumbling down because you don't have the foundation required. Now, when I talk about foundation, what are the things I'm speaking about? I'm speaking about the person of the founder of that business relative to, you know, relative to your depth of knowledge about the business that you are in, right? Relative to the kind of product that you have designed, relative to the sustainability of the product itself. So, for example, so let me give you a very good example. And so at a time, right, when Buhari, that's President Buhari now, said we are going to move the method through which the Nigerian government was collecting revenue into a one account structure. That was when they brought about Remita, right? Remita was brought as a solution for collection of federal government revenue. But guess what happened? The Remita platform does not have the capacity to be able to take a lot of Nigerians paying through that portal. So guess what? You want to make a CAC payment, you want to make a tax payment, tax remittance, and all of those things. You are on the platform, is rolling. The reason why is because at the point where the people that designed that portal designed it, they did not design it with a mindset that is going to serve 1 million people, and that 1 million persons may be wanting to log into their platform at a time. So let's say 10 people were logging in, it would have performed their function properly, right? But at the point where they sold that solution to the federal government, they lacked the capacity to be able to accommodate the number of people that started using their platform. So when we talk about scalability, the first thing that we talk about is capacity. Now, capacity of the business owner, and then the capacity of the solution that you are bringing into the marketplace. So let me give you another example. I run a management consulting firm, and then one day out of nowhere, one of my clients reached out to me and it was like, oh, Bolu, we have this training solution coming and we want you to be able to facilitate 20 streams of a training together at the same time. Now, guess what? My prayer, my desire was for my business to scale, become bigger. Now, here is a demand on me to deliver a particular solution at once across 20 different locations. Now, guess what? If I lack the capacity, right, I will not be able to meet up with that scalability. So for me, the very foundation thing when it comes to scaling any business is capacity. Number one, the capacity of the business owner, and then second, the capacity of the business itself to be able to offer the value that is promising the audience that it is going to, offer. So the moment you are able, or you have a guarantee in your heart as a business owner that you have the capacity required to be able to serve your customers, then scalability becomes something that is easier to achieve, right? So for me, that's the way to think about it. I don't know. Are you still there? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Can you hear me? Bolu,
Yes,
can you hear
I
me?
can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. You have answered 2 questions all in time. I appreciate that. And possibly first. I don't know if you got that.
Hello, hello, can you hear me? I think the internet is a bit unstable. I can't hear you well.
Strategies for scaling a business.
Hello, can you hear me? I think the internet is a bit unstable. I can't hear you well.
Oh, you didn't get that?
Yes, I didn't get that, but I can hear you now. You can take the question again, please.
You can hear. Okay, what effective sales strategies for scaling a business?
What are the effective strategies, right?
Yeah, most effective and sales strategies for scaling a business.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So the where we started a conversation from was talking about capacity. And then, so what are the strategies for scaling a business? I think the second thing I would actually really want to speak into is structure, right? It's one thing to have capacity, it's another thing to have the structure that that guarantees consistency of delivery. So let me put it this way. One of the things that killed a business like Mr. Biggs is scaling. They scaled, they couldn't sustain it, and then they crashed, right? So sometimes the scalability we're even praying for, or we are planning for, or we are desiring for, can become the downfall of the business when we don't have the right strategies in place. So the first strategy when it comes to scaling a business is creating a structure that is going to hold that business together, right? When I talk about structure, for example, right, is being able to create, yeah, a structure pretty much, you know, because take for instance, I'm just trying to think about maybe a practical example that I can give now that will make this thing come alive, right? And I think maybe the best example, the one I was talking about, which is Mr. Biggs, for example. Now, at a point, what I believe Mr. Biggs wanted to do was to spread across and have a representation of their brand across
Effective
multiple
market.
locations. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? The internet is really unstable. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can hear me. I will just continue
Yes,
speaking with the
it's
assumption
so
that
unstable.
everybody can hear me. So let me just go ahead, right? So so the first thing here is structure, right? When you're able to create a structure that
It's
guarantees
so
consistency of
unstable. But
service
what I'm
delivery.
trying to say and say strategies for scaling a business. Marketing. We are
Okay,
talking of marketing and sales now.
okay, so I get you. That which is what I'm trying to say. That
We've
it is one
heard
thing for
about
us to talk about. It is one thing for us to talk about marketing and
structure. Yeah.
selling, right? It is one thing for us to talk about marketing and selling. But the truth of the matter is that when the marketing begins to work, are we together? There is something that is going to hold that thing together, right? And which is what I'm talking about structure that guarantees consistency of delivery, right? Now, why am I saying that? Part of marketing is the guarantee that I can serve a customer consistently. Because if I bring a new customer into my business, for example, and that customer has a bad experience, right? I am going to increase my marketing effort. So let me give you this analogy. In marketing or in business management, there is something we call customer acquisition cost, which is how much money did I spend in getting a new customer into my business, right? So let's assume that I am selling a product that is valued at say 500,000 naira, right? And then in getting a customer, I spent let's say 50,000 naira. Now, and that customer buys from me one time and that customer leaves. What that means is that I spent 50,000 naira getting that customer. But let's say the customer bought for me twice, bought for me 3 times, bought for me 4 times, bought for me 5 times. What that is doing for me is that the cost of getting that customer is reducing because it is being spread across the number of times that that customer has purchased from me. So, one of the things that guarantees scalability is the fact that I created a system or a structure that makes it possible for one customer to have replicable purchasing from my business. Now, what guarantees that most of the time is the consistency around delivery of promised value. So if I promise you that when you do business with me, you are going to have this kind of result, right? My business is going to be able to grow and scale when every time you come in contact with my business, you have that guaranteed level of result or value proposition. But if at every time you interact with my business, you keep getting different level of value, at a point you are going to go away to somewhere, and then I'm not going to be able to meet up with that result again. So because when it even comes to marketing and selling, for example, there is also a system and a structure that we're supposed to create in our business that guarantees everyday selling, right? So for example, in my own business, right, we know that every Wednesday is dedicated to customer visitation, right? What that means is that as a business, it's not just that we wake up tomorrow and say, oh, we are going today, next tomorrow we are not going. There is a system or a structure that already spells out when we do what, such that either I am there or I am not there. Everybody within my team already knows what to do on Monday, they know what to do on Tuesday, they know what to do on Wednesday, they know what to do on Thursday. And because of that, there is a consistency around delivery of value promise. And that in itself is one of the biggest strategies that I have used in scaling up my own business. And that's why, you know, when you ask questions around strategies for scaling, that's the first thing I spoke about. Structures and systems that guarantees consistency of production of whatever it is that we're producing. That's the first thing. The second one is, you know, customer satisfaction, right? Customer satisfaction. The truth of the matter is that, like we always say, it is easier to get an existing customer to buy multiple times from me than to get new customers to buy for the first time, right? Now, one of the things I've seen that has truncated a lot of businesses in Nigeria is the fact that they have not been able to get their customers to become repeat buyers. So it's almost like every waking day they are looking for new customers. Every waking day they are looking for new customers. Every waking day they are looking for new customers. I generally work with my clients to say, if what you have today is 5 customers, how do we ensure that these 5 customers, they are so satisfied with what they are getting from you that they will become your mouthpiece, right? The truth of the matter is that a business owner cannot reach as much customers as much as his existing customer will help him to reach. So the second strategy for scaling a business is customer management. A lot of businesses does not have processes and system in place for managing their customers. They don't know when to call a customer. They don't know when to touch base with a customer. A lot of businesses does not even have the database of their customers, right? They don't even know why they came to them in the first place, so that they can know how to consistently, you know, increase the value of what a customer is buying from you, right? One of the things, I was talking to one of my clients like 2 weeks ago, and simply what we're trying to do is, how can we increase your pocket share of this customer? So for example, let's say I sell, I'm trying to pick a simple example now. Let's say I sell human hair, as my business is selling human hair, right? And I have one person that is constantly coming to buy human hair from me. Now, notice that this particular lady that is coming to buy hair extension from me would also need, you know, other things within the scope of beautification, of fashion, and all of those things. Now, as a business, one of the things I need to begin to do is, if I'm going to increase my pocket share of this customer, what that means is that if this woman has 1 million naira to spend every month on looking good, how can I be the one collecting 800,000 naira out of that 1 million, right? Now, if the hair extension only gives me 100K out of the 1 million every month, then I need to begin to look at my business model to say, how do I expand how much of this woman's money is coming into my business? What that then begins to suggest to me as a business person is that I need to begin to create complementary services, right? That if somebody is getting this, there is a very high tendency that they are going to get this one as well. So for me, if I were to use myself as an example, I run a management consulting firm, right? Now, part of the services we do is coaching, training, HR support, and all of those things. So if an organization comes to me, for example, and they are engaging my firm for training, right, the next thing that is going on in my head is that if they're engaging me for training, most likely they're going to need coaching services. If they're coming to me for coaching, most likely they're going to need business engineering processes as a consulting service. So I begin to look at it in terms of the plethora of the services that I have, how one can become complementary to the other. The more complementary services I have put together, right, the more complementary services I have put together, the higher the guarantee that I am going to make so much more from just one client. The more I'm able to make from one client, the more I begin to scale, my business that way. So for businesses that are listening here, the next thing, which is what I'm talking about, is how can you look for complementary services that your businesses can offer. Now, when I talk about complementary services, if I sell air extension, for example, right, selling land is not complementary to selling air extension. But if I sell air extension and then I decide to open, a beauty shop where people do this semi-permanent, eyelashes, microblading, and all of those things, it becomes complementary to each other. If I decide to introduce shoe selling, it is also complementary. The person that is buying hair will most likely need shoe, right? So it's being able to look at your business offering and being able to say, what are the other complementary services I can bring in? What are the other complementary products I can bring in that would help increase, number one, my pocket share in my existing customers, and then number two, right, the reach of my business in itself. So the first thing that, like I said, is a structure that will power your business for consistency. The second thing is customer management. The third thing is product expansion, which is what I was talking about, having, complementary products that can go into each other. I can go on and on, but I think these 3 points are just sufficient for anybody to start with, and then they can begin to take it up from there. I can't hear you. I think your audio is muted, ma'am.
Now,
Yeah, I can hear you now. Hello, I can hear you now.
back. Yes, we are going on a very short break to continue. Let's see if we can please.
Land of unity, land of peace. This may sound funny, but when I look around, that is what I see. Land of such ethnic and cultural diversity. A land so rich, giant of Africa, indeed. Land of champions, land of the best. In the midst of the adversities, we stood the test. And through all the mess of these years, someday will come clean. I love nature, I love the green, white green. Oh, unity and faith. In the midst of the abundance, so many people know they enjoy the benefits of the plenty things where we get from under our soil. But I hope say one day we go change our ways so that for the future generation, Nigeria will be a better place. Some of the times over the my own too. So make we join our hands, make we make our own good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, God bless this nation, God bless Nigeria.
You are how do we chase scaling of our business?
I lost you for a
Toby,
bit,
did you
ma'am.
get
You
that?
can take the question again.
Okay, I said, how do we leverage on technology
Okay. Thank you
to
so much for that.
facilitate scaling of our business?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think in this time and age, right, everybody should be thinking about how to leverage technology for business scalability. Now, when we talk about scalability, one thing I also want to quickly point out is that it just speaks to the fact that your business can almost run on autopilot without you being there, right? And then it can have a life of its own. So, one of the fastest way to achieve that is through technology. There is pretty much nothing about any business that cannot be automated right now, right? That's just the truth. It's as simple as, for example, using Google Forms to gather data, you know, till to the point where you are then, maybe hiring somebody to help you develop, IT solutions and all of that. But because I know that a lot of people may not be able to go in terms of IT solutions and all, I would just want to stay on the basics of simple technological solution that anybody can simply leverage right now. And for me, I think one of the most suitable, simple ones to use that will not cost anybody anything is using the Google Suite. Now, if I manage a business, for example, I can use my Google Sheet to manage my customer database. I can use Google Forms to drive my surveys. I can use the Google Excel sheet, to reconcile, data and all of those things. So there's a lot, but the truth of the matter is that if anybody is really serious about scaling any business, they should be thinking about how to use technology, to drive that business essentially, either from the simple point of using Google uh, tools, or bringing somebody to help develop maybe applications and all of those things to start the business. But yes, if you are going to scale your business at all and you are serious about it, then you need to begin to think about how to leverage technology, and you can go about it in simple ways. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. Now, how can partnership and collaboration with other businesses help? Did you get that?
Hello, can you hear me?
Partnership and collaboration. Yes.
How can partnerships and collaboration help in scaling a business, right? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay. So when it comes to being able to scale a business, one thing that every business owner needs to understand is that the bandwidth of my reach is so narrow that for me to be able to reach a wider audience, there's a need for me to bring a lot of people together with me. Somebody says it this way, that if you run alone, you would go far. But if you run with people, if you run with people, if you run alone, you go fast. But if you run with people, you are going to go far, right? What that means is that if your business is a sprint, you can afford to run alone. But if you know that the business you are creating is a marathon, then there is a need for you to bring a lot of people to work with you, right? So, for example,
Okay, it's like the network has thrown our guest out all the same. I would like to appreciate him highly because he has given us a lot of insight into the topic of today. And as a quick recap, I would like us to know that we need to develop a clear vision and roadmap for our business. It started by telling us we have to have the right structure. It's not the type of hustling business that we'll be looking at scaling. We need a business that is of firm structure that is scalable before we can talk of scaling. And scaling a business is something that we should aim at because that is when we can think of running our business in an autopilot mode. The business that can outlive us, the business that will not only work when we're around. Then we need to build a strong team. Building strong team also includes getting into partnership, collaboration with other in the same line of businesses. As they say, if you want to go far, you cannot go alone. we also need to leverage technology. That goes without saying. These days, technology is the key word. You need to apply technology to be able to achieve more and to be able to achieve more efficiency and go very far in terms of business development and customer satisfaction. We also need to make efforts on marketing, the marketing efforts to make sure that our business gets well grounded, well known in the market, and therefore is able to grow, and then the scalability aspect will also kick in. Also, we have to be focused on customer what our to be able to give best customers, you can referrals, you can new customers. This is very key. We need to develop strategic partnership in business to business to manage our financial and open our business process. Okay, Bolu is back with us now. I want
So sorry for that. My internet threw me out.
because of time, I want to appreciate
Yes.
you this time that and the insight shared with us. It's unfortunate we were so bogged down with network challenge,
Internet.
but that's the downside of the technology. We hope it will get better. And so
yes,
thank you very much.
Before I don't know if
I'm
I can
sure if any of our viewers.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I said I don't know if I can quickly share this before I step out of the meeting.
I can hear you.
So the question you asked before my internet threw me out was partnership.
Okay.
Right? And I just want to quickly share this. Now, when it comes to the business that anybody exists in, what you begin to find out is that there are multiple value chains, right? When it comes to seeking strategic partnerships, it is about seeking strategic partnerships along your business value chain. So, for example, I have somebody that is HR in an organization. That is a partnership that works, right? When we think about partnership for scaling our businesses, it is seeking partnership within our value chain. So, for example, I'm a civil engineer. I'm partnering with somebody that runs a real estate business. Now, that partnership is me, I know how to build, somebody knows how to sell it. Now, in that situation, we are forming the kind of partnership that it's almost like when I finish my own part, I hand it over to the next person. And then because we have built ourselves along the value chain, it guarantees sustainable business for all of us. Because as one person is finishing his own part of it, another person is taking it over. That way, I am not boggled with wanting to do everything in my business value chain by myself that I may not have the capacity and the resources for. But because I've come into partnership with people along that value chain, it becomes easier for all of us to scale that business together, handling one part of each other as we proceed along that value chain. So that is what I wanted to quickly say, about seeking strategic partnership, not just because, that person is there, let me partner here, let me partner there, but looking at the value chain of your business and plugging with partners along that value chain.
That's very clear. Thank you very much. Once you highly for your time and for the shared with us views on this particular topic. Please share with us and we will get response from our guests for you. And if there are any other areas we can assist you can be assured that we will do that. Once again, thank you very much, Bolu. I hope when we come calling next time, you avail us the same opportunity.
Definitely, ma'am. I would also say that since this podcast is going to remain on your page, people with questions can drop their questions on the broadcast. I will personally go there, see people's questions, and I'll be able to answer it. That is also going to really save us time and all of that. But thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Like I said, please continue to share our video and leave the notification on so that you can always be informed of other solutions that we have in offering for you. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Sorry about the internet hiccup. That's part of what we have to cope with. We hope it will get better. Once again, thank you all for staying tuned and for following and joining our show. You've seen the advert of the Great Leap, the Big Leap. Please try and connect with us. Thank you till I come your way next week. Build and evolve strategies for scaling your business for higher growth. Thank you very much.